My name's Jan. I'm associated with the Virtual Horizons Foundation. As you might have read in the introduction to this today's webinar, what I'm doing is to bring digital technology closer to schools, including the virtual reality technology. So we are, as a foundation, we are producing content for virtual reality and organizing special presentations at schools using virtual reality headsets. It's a tool which is kind of supporting the normal education at schools in different subjects.
Hello.
I see we have Monica back.
Yeah, hello. Hello.
Hi.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
I can.
You can turn off and turn off. Okay, so one more time, sorry for that, but we have some problems with the internet connection. So one more time, welcome to our another webinar for teenagers. And my name is Monika Rudnicka, and I'm extremely happy to have with me today Janek Szczeciński, who is our guest and who is going to spend 1 hour with us telling us about what? About virtual reality. So Janek, can you just say a few words about yourself and introduce yourself? And yes.
Yeah, I just used this opportunity actually to do it. So,
great.
So we're done.
This one I thought so.
Unless someone has already some questions, but
okay.
Yeah, I described the foundation and what we're doing in terms of bringing the digital technology closer to schools.
Excellent. So now I think it's time for some revision of vocab, which you had a chance to do before our webinar. So you probably did the Quizlet. So let's check whether you remember something. So let's go through the slides. Janek, of course, you can help me and you can help the attendees to just guess the words. What I want from you is, just wait a second. Okay, what I want from you is to guess what the option is. So virtual reality is a computer-based technology that provides an interactive three-dimensional learning experience, or maybe B, a computer-generated environment that evokes a person to feel a sense of reality using sound, graphics, and interactions. Of course, in the chat box on your right, you can write the answer if you know it. And I hope you know it, and I know that you know it. So what do you think? Which option is the one? Anybody? Okay. Is it B? Okay. So it's B. Okay. So I guess you might be surprised because it's A. It's a computer-based technology that provides an interactive three-dimensional learning experience. Okay. So what about the next one then? Immersive reality. Images produced by a computer and used together with a view of the real world, or maybe D, a computer-generated environment that evokes a person to feel a sense of reality using sound, graphics, and interaction. So is it C or is it D? What do you think? Okay, mysterious and Dorota, D. So let's check that. Okay. Yes, it's D, a computer-generated environment that evokes a person to feel a sense of reality using sound, graphics, and interactions. Great. So what about the next expression? Augmented reality. Images produced by a computer and used together with a view of the real world, or maybe F, a computer-generated environment that evokes a person to feel a sense of reality using sound, graphics, and interaction. What do you think? What is the correct answer? Is it E or is it F? E. Okay. So let's check that. Yes, it's E. Images produced by a computer and used together with a view of the real world. Okay. So what about the next one? To enhance, it's a verb. So is it G, to improve, or maybe H, to control? What do you think? Okay. What about that one? G or H? H. G. Okay, so definitely it's G, to improve. So what about the next phrase? Motion tracking. The processing of an outline image using color and shading to make it appear solid and three-dimensional. Or maybe J, the process of following the movement of an object within a piece of footage. What do you think? What do you think is the correct answer? Okay. Okay, J. So let's check that. Yes, that's true. It's J, the process of following the movement of an object within a piece of footage. Okay, and the next one, rendering. The processing of an outline image using color and shading to make it appear solid and three-dimensional, or any technology related to compulsive behavior that interferes with normal living. Probably you know which one. It's K. So the processing of an outline image using color and shading to make it appear solid and three-dimensional. Okay, and what about the next one? Field of view. Is it M, the area that can be seen when you look through a telescope, a pair of binoculars, for example, and N, the number of frames that appear in 1 second of the animation. What do you think? M or N? Any guesses? M. Okay. Great, it's N. So what about the next one then? Frames per second. State of being deeply engrossed or absorption. The number of frames that appear in 1 second of the animation. So O or P? Is it O or is it P? It's P. Okay, it's P. Wojtek, Dominika, P. So many P's, so I guess it must be the correct answer. Yes, it's P, the number of frames that appear in the 1 second of the animation. Okay, and here we are with the immersion. State, so is it Q? State of being deeply engrossed, absorption, or any technology-related compulsive behavior that interferes with normal living. Is it Q or is it R? Q. Okay, Dorota, thank you. Any other guesses? Q, Bartek, great. So it must be Q then. And what about the next one? Cyber addiction, device that enables the user of a VR headset to interact with virtual reality. Or T, any technology-related compulsive behavior that interferes with normal living. What do you think? S or T? T? Of course, it's T. So let's go to the correct answer. Yes, it's T. And what about the, I guess the last one, controller? So U, a device that enables the user of a VR headset to interact with virtual reality. Or V, any technology-related compulsive behavior that interferes with normal living. I think that's obvious because we've already had cyber connection addiction. So it's U, a device that enables the user of a VR headset to interact with virtual reality. Okay. Yes, and here we are. So now that's my favorite time to start an interview and start a discussion about our topic. And the topic is, of course, virtual reality. So, Janek, can you just explain us what virtual reality is?
Absolutely. Could I start actually with asking you something? All of you, I'd like to know if you had any time a VR virtual reality headset on your head. If you could write it down on a chat, that would be great. That would provide kind of a base for us to understand what's your experience. If you already had such experience with VR.
Jacob,
okay.
Yes.
You can also write what kind of experience was it like? I don't know, a roller coaster in MediaMarkt or whatever. What was this? And also, if that would be great to know if we have anyone who didn't have this experience. That's nothing bad in it.
Definitely. I didn't
Okay.
have.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
not even once.
Very good. I even see that there are some more experienced users there. Very well. Because the reason why I'm asking you about this is because it's really difficult to speak about virtual reality. You actually need to see it or even more experience to understand what it is about. I would say it's a new medium. Of course, there were the attempts to create it and to make it massive are quite old. In even the 70s, there were ideas to create such helmets or a headset, large headset to be able to move to some other virtual world. But it didn't catch up at that time. Also, of course, the technology was not good enough, was not advanced enough to make it smaller, to make it more usable, and so on. It's only now that it's getting actually the attention and coverage, I would say. Technically, it's I mean, for those who already have it, it's obvious. Maybe for some a little bit less. Technically, you need to have a headset, like a couple of headsets here with me. That's
I love it.
That's one type of headset, quite simple one. You can put your smartphone here. There are also more advanced and more professional technologies like this one.
Okay.
So you basically put it on your head. You're completely cut out of the real reality, and you can see there either 3D graphics, so artificially created, computer-based created world, or 360 degrees videos. And you can look around in the headset, and it simulates the real way of turning around and looking at different directions in the world. With the virtual reality, you can of course move quickly to different places, to places that are not accessible or far away from here. But also you can experience some impossible situations. You can become someone or something that you will never become. And in this way you can actually not only see, like on the screen of the smartphone or the computer or the TV, you can not only see some content, but I would say even experience it. So feel it and be as close to the real experience as possible without actually being in the real experience. And there are of course many cases. We'll probably go more into its use cases of virtual reality for education, for training, professional training. I don't know, health training, firefighters, and so on. Entertainment, of course. I guess most of your experiences were purely in entertainment so far. We're trying to also change it and make a bit more out of this medium than just entertainment. For therapy, for also being at live events that are happening, 8,000 kilometers from here. For marketing, but also for empathy, for building empathy and understanding of others, of their feelings, their needs, and ideas. That's what we're doing actually at our Virtual Reality Foundation.
Okay, so I think that's the moment, that's the time, Yannick, for giving our attendees something to watch. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yeah, we have we've produced at the foundation one of the contents that we produce. It's a 360 degrees video, which brings you to Tatra Mountains, something that many of you might be really willing to do nowadays, and you cannot. That's also the use of VR. You can move to places where you can actually go. That's the content that we're using at primary schools in Poland, at geography classes, and it's a sample, so that you can see how this technology might be used for education. We will share now with you on the chat the link. It's not going to be on the main screen here. It's a link, so you need to launch it for yourself on a computer, on your smartphone, whatever you're using. I hope everyone will be able to see it, but that's not a guarantee. And then once you're watching it, remember that you can change the view. So either with the mouse, click of the mouse on the desktop computer, or with the smartphone, you can move it actually around you and change the view. It's a 6-minute video, but I would encourage you to just check, I don't know, 1.5 or 2 minutes max to see what we're speaking about.
Okay, so guys, I think that we have 1 minute for watching the film, and there's still one task and one question for you. While watching it, we would like you to think how you think this kind of content is produced. Okay, so think about that. While watching, while moving, as Janek said, the mouse or the cursor, whatever, just think how it might be produced. Okay, and 1 minute. You've got 1 minute for watching. Okay, so ready, steady, go. And I'm going to control the time. Great. Mm-hmm. Okay, I think we can stop at this point. One more thing, I forgot to tell you that, of course, you're welcome to ask Janek questions whenever you wish. Okay, so write the question in your chat box, and Janek is going to answer your questions. Okay, so Janek, so how is the content produced, and what are the devices commonly associated with VR?
Sure. As I started, also there are like two types of hardware and devices that we need to have. One is to watch it, of course, and that's the as I said, a headset. It's now, I would say, quite accessible in terms of funds. It's actually, this one is Chinese, called Pico, but there are a number of others like Oculus Go and so on. Costs more or less like 200-300 euros. But then you can also have much more simple solution like this one.
Show the universe.
Yeah, exactly. Where you put your smartphone. And it's much cheaper, but really the quality is really poor. I wouldn't recommend it for long-term use. So that's one part. Of course, you can also, as some of you might be watching the movie, you can watch it on your smartphone just move it around. Go and search on YouTube different free 60 degrees videos, and you can see how it works. So that's one part. The other is how to produce it. And I see some of you actually also
there are three
asked about it,
yeah.
or put some comments on it. So now there are, as I said, there are basically two types of virtual reality. Real virtual reality, which is the graphics, the 3D graphics. So it's like you see the animated movie or anything like this. It's that's the same. It's just created for the 360 degrees environment, and that's like recreating completely new environments, virtual environment. The other is the 360 degrees videos. And that's an example of such a content. Of course, it has some additional, as you see, items on it, animation, text, and so on. But basically, it's a video. It's produced by. There are no different options. Produced by a camera, which is actually constructed with different lenses. So they're directed in each direction. Sometimes there are two, sometimes there are 20 of them.
Do you mean cameras? You mean cameras, yes? There are 20 cameras.
Yeah, exactly. The 20 cameras, but they're all in one. Sometimes they're like more or less homemade with the GoPro camera that you probably all know. So such rigs with sometimes even 20-something cameras. Directed at different angles, at different directions, and they are all shooting at the same time. So of course the technology is more and more advanced every day, and it's more simple. You can also buy such a simple small bulb, I would say, and film your amateur 360 degrees videos. That's quite easy. With the professional ones, as I said, each part is filmed separately, but it's synchronized. It's filmed at the same time. Then there is the main challenge is actually to stitch them together. That's the word that I also learned a few years ago when we started working on it. You need to do stitching, and stitching in 360 degrees video. Let me put it down. I hope I'll spell it right. That's actually the key, because you have different frames. You need to connect them. Sometimes they're overlapping because we want the cameras to catch everything without any holes. So they're overlapping, but then in the end, you need to have a final product in which you don't see the lines of stitching. So that's the major part, the most difficult, the most time-consuming, most expensive, and so on. And of course, then the post-production, the same post-production as you do with normal movies, or very very similar. So it is different in terms of hardware, in terms of filming, but I would say that primarily it's actually different in terms of the concept and the script. Because unlike in the normal movie set, the movie set is all around you. So you put the camera and you're filming everything around you, including the cameraman, and including all the backstage, if you have any backstage. Because in the normal movie filming, on one side you have all the backstage. The director, the cameraman, and so on and so on. On the other, you have the actors and everything, which you actually see in the small frame. Here, you have everything around. So you need to actually think wisely upfront how you want to use this medium. Do you want to tell the story which actually goes around you, and you somehow force the participant to look around, and so on, and how to actually create the story, because it's a completely different kind of story. Also because everyone who is watching it might be looking at a different direction. So you don't actually know where he or she is looking. So these are the major, I would say, these are the major differences compared to standard filming.
It seems like quite a lot of people are involved in the production. And it seems also that it's pretty time-consuming. How, for example, when you have one film to produce, how long it takes to produce it, to have a ready product?
I mean, I'll never answer this question because it's like all depends on the script, on how complicated it is. If we just have two things happening at the left, right side, or around, whatever. But I wouldn't say that it's in terms of filming. In terms of post-production, it is more work because of this famous stitching. But in terms of filming, I wouldn't say that it requires a lot more, actually, timing. It's a little bit different in terms of the structure, how we and the plan, how we organize it. Why? Because we need more time for rehearsals, and then we need to shoot the master shot. Because you cannot really shoot it in two parts. So like shoot one scene twice, I would say, and then choose parts and bits from this one and maybe this one and so on. It will never work because you have this film set all around you. So it really needs to be a master shot. A master shot means that if you have one scene or one video which is for 10 minutes, you have to shoot it for 10 minutes. You cannot really then edit it in the post-production. So it means that you need to do a lot more rehearsals, and of course you need to repeat it sometimes many times because one tiny element is not working. And you could, as in the normal filming, you can edit it in the post-production. In the 360 degrees filming, you cannot. So that's a major difference. But also in terms of the film set, we're actually trying to have less people than compared to normal filming, because we need to hide them somewhere, or they need to be actors or somehow take part in it. Yeah, because if they are close to the camera, they will be seen in the film set.
Yeah, seems pretty complex and a lot of fun, I would say.
True, absolutely. I would say that like filming, 360 degrees filming is a little bit more close to theater experience, theater play, than normal filming.
Okay, seems really great. Okay, we have some questions, Janek. We have a question whether you can you become addicted to virtual reality?
Of course, as to anything. As to anything, I mean, it's always a personal thing. Depends on your needs as well. I mean, sometimes you want to escape simply from the real reality and go to virtual. One thing is, of course, that with this hardware nowadays, it's still not very convenient to watch it unless you're very experienced. To watch it longer than, I don't know, 30 minutes, 1 hour would be like, a lot.
Okay.
So you'll get tired. You might get nausea and so on. So. But of course, if you're addicted, you don't really care that you're tired. So of course you can. Yeah, I mean, for some it might be easier for many personal reasons to stay in virtual reality and nicer. But still, as I said, I mean, it's too tiring to spend 2 hours in it. Usually, and also the content produced is usually not, I don't know, longer in terms of the videos, not really much longer than I don't know, 30 minutes. But we had also at some of our workshops, we had participants who spent 2 hours painting in 3D. It's excellent experience. If
finding their talents and finding their artistic
exactly. I mean, but even not artistic, but just like, you know, the sense of the space around you, what you can do around you, 10 around, and yeah, I mean, it's really incredible. It's like paint that you might have on your computer, but 3D all around you. So we had you know, some people who were like for 2 hours in it and really didn't want to go
to stop doing that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there is a risk, of course.
I think you've just answered a bit of the question of Wojciech's question. Are there any side effects of using VR headset? You said that you're just starting to feel tired, yes, and you need to, you've got some kind of headache, and it's not advisable to use for longer than 30, you said 30 minutes, yes?
Yeah, I mean, I would, for someone who's not really experienced in it and is wearing the headset for the first time, I don't know, there are still people like this who never, like you. So I wouldn't really recommend going beyond 20 or 30 minutes. I would say that there are also some other, might be some other side effects, as I said, that you might not feel well, you might feel nausea, some problems with orientation in space. You might also, I mean, that's the big question about kids. You might also somehow mess reality with virtual reality. Yeah, what's actually real and what's not? Because once you have the headset on, you have your headphones, so you're also cut out in terms of audio from the reality. Your brain really thinks that you're there. I mean, that's the idea about this technology. So so that's the thing. There are also some precautions, and that people with epilepsy should not use it at all. And there are, like, I would say, some 5% of people at our events who say no. I mean, they don't want, or they put it on and just put it off immediately, and they don't feel comfortable with it, and that's fine. It's a personal.
Okay, so maybe now it's time for just a bit of talk about how we can use and support the learning process of our students by a means of VR. So simply, yeah. Yeah,
I mean, that's again, well, that's what we're doing at the Virtual Horizons Foundation, of trying to make a bit greater and better use of this technology, not only for entertainment but also for some other objectives. So our experience shows, and also the experience of our partners from abroad and so on, shows that the virtual reality, as I said at the beginning, actually enables you to experience something. To feel that, I mean, with the video that you watched from the Tatra Mountains, I mean, when you watch it on a flat desktop screen or the smartphone, it's like 5% of what you can feel actually with. I wish we had the opportunity to use the VR headsets, maybe sometime in the future, and show it to you, because it's a completely different experience. It's like you really think that you are there and you're experiencing it. And you're experiencing particular situation or a particular place, and it's a simple and kind of obvious link that once you experience something, you learn better, you memorize it better, you understand it better. Just imagine a simple the most simple thing, like you're learning about geometry at the mathematics and so on. It's sometimes difficult for some to imagine what it is all about, the geometry in space and so on. But once you're inside a cage, for instance, also the cage that you actually just drew by yourself a minute ago, and you can look around, then you understand it. Then you understand it better.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like a simple and I would say obvious link, but still, I would say, and that's what we are because we're doing lessons at schools. So that's what we are also focusing very much on, to treat this technology as a, I would say, simple supporting tool, so that it's not, it doesn't become the major attraction. Of course, it becomes to some extent, but a major and the only attraction of this 45 minutes of the lesson. So there is a particular topic, like on geography, and some information that you actually absorb, but and at the end, or at the beginning, it doesn't matter. You just have the experience for this 5 or 6 minutes, which helps you to understand it better, what you actually heard, and experience it, and hopefully remember
for longer.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That's the idea.
Yannick, I think we have questions, two questions. So maybe, do you need a special computer to be able to connect the VR headset to it? Dorota asks.
Very good point. They're basically, in short, of course, there are basically two types of headsets. They're standalone headsets, like this one. It's, as I said, it's more advanced than the one with the unicorn, but it's basically like a smartphone. So it has an inbuilt screen, the same screen like in the smartphones, and the processor and so on. And it's standalone. You don't need a computer for it. Okay. And it's basically mostly designed for watching 360 degrees videos. Also for some, I would say, simple gaming. Mm-hmm. By gaming, I don't only mean, of course, entertainment, but also gaming like interaction, that you can interact with the space, with something that you see around you. Mm-hmm. It's simpler and less expensive as well. And there's this another type of hardware, which is with this motion tracking that you mentioned in your presentation, and they actually need to be connected to the computer, a strong computer, a gaming computer. If some of you actually do computer games, you would know. You would know also how much it costs, a few thousand zlotys. Needs to have a strong graphic card and so on. But this one actually enables you to see it better. It's better quality, and also to walk around the space and do more interaction, basically. So in a way, you're inside the game. I can describe it in a simple example of IKEA did such a demo game for VR, and you're in the kitchen of IKEA. You can walk around it. That's quite simple. You can change the color of the furniture. You can open the shelves, the cupboards, whatever. You can even cook something. Of course it's a fun game, but it shows what kind of interactivity, what kind of immersiveness you can achieve with this one. So yeah, but these headsets are more expensive as well, and more complicated. You also need a little bit of space at your home, wherever.
Safety, definitely to feel safe, yes, because there is this total immersion when you are experiencing VR. You need to sometimes move or walk. I can imagine that you need to have really safe space, not to hurt yourself.
Exactly, and it's of course safer to sit and just turn around. With the standalone headsets, whereas when you have great immersion and interactivity, you actually should walk. So and you don't really feel the space. I mean, we did one of the like fun games, but it might be also used for some amateur therapy. It was a game in which you're going with the elevator. You're going to the top of this skyscraper, and at the top, at the roof of it, there is a wooden board, like a plank, and it's of course like hanging in space. So and at the end of this plank, there is a kitten or a dog, whatever, that you need to save. So I need to walk on this plank to the end of it, take the kitten and go back safely. And like people go crazy, even if they are on a solid ground. They're not on a plank. They're on a solid, large ground. But the brain thinks actually that you're on this plank. So and you're like, I don't know, 100 meters above the ground, walking on this thin plank.
So VR is about deceiving your brain. Am I right?
Basically, yes.
Okay.
Basically, yes, I would say. I mean, that's the idea.
So can that be helpful, for example, when we are talking about deceiving? Here it's just the game, some kind. You said that there is the plan, and it's for the volunteers, and it's for the people who are like who want some kind of, you know, taking risks or something. But are there any therapies that VR supports?
Yes.
I can imagine that, for example, for some people who are disabled or some kind of not, you know, with some disorders, it might be really helpful or not.
Yes, definitely it might. I wouldn't say that it's like widely used yet, and but there are examples. It's all about a little bit of experimenting. That's obvious. But yes, in terms of therapy, in the fear of heights, that's one thing. In terms of some kind of agoraphobia, some what's the name in English? Arachnophobia. So that you're afraid of bikes.
Yeah.
And, so in terms of these kind of therapies, yes, it works, because of course it needs to be done step by step. It's not an idea to, you know, to give a heart attack to participants, because he or she actually feels too frightened. but doing it step by step. But also in terms of like you have your, I don't know, leg broken, and I mean I'm not a neurologist, you know, specialist, but it works like your brain actually stops your leg to be moved in a way. Yeah, it's not. I mean, of course, there are some physical barriers that you cannot really move this leg after being broken and the recovery and so on. But primarily, there's something in your brain that actually stops you moving it, because you're afraid of moving it, afraid of, I don't know, breaking it again, whatever. And here this medium actually might work. We are also working closely with therapists and psychologists and so on, who are working with people with autism. And this kind of technology also helps them to understand better or differently understand the real world and the real situations. It's a little bit easier for them to do it first in the virtual reality before going public, for instance. Again, you can as well, when speaking about public, I mean, you can also learn about public speaking or whatever, and have a full audience in front of you, 1,000 people, and you see them and you need to speak to them. You see some reactions and so on. So the number of uses for it. And also, like I said about the people with autism or with the Asperger's syndrome, but it's also like interesting for the society to learn how people with autism are actually feeling the world, the different communications, the sounds, how they're experiencing the sound, the lights, and so on. That's something that, I mean, we can read books about it. We can see normal movies. We can, you might remember, or maybe the participant don't remember the famous movie Rain Man and so on, with Dustin Hoffman and Tom Cruise. But it shows a little bit how people with autism are actually absorbing the world, and but you cannot
it's
really.
A good lesson. It's also the lesson of empathy somehow.
Yes, exactly. Because once you can be in a person of once you can be someone else and experience some situations. You can be, you can be spend a day in the middle of the refugee camp in Jordan, yeah. And see the problems, but also see how life goes there. And once you can become the other person or be closer to the other person. You develop your empathy actually, and an understanding of the person needs, limits, aspirations, whatever. It's much easier for the people-to-people relations.
Janek, Wojciech asks the question, so whether there are any programs to create VR games or worlds.
I'm not sure I understand it, but I guess it's about creating by yourself, yeah. So there are, of course, such applications which help you to create it. It's more about the idea and the concept that you need to have. An interesting concept, because not all concepts actually are good in VR. And the major work and the skills actually are in the graphics. I would say, because of course there are programmers who do applications, and we also do applications, games, and so on. But the major thing is to have a good concept and to have some skills. I mean, you can try, of course, in the graphics, in design graphics.
Yannick, you mentioned applications. So can you give the name of the application, or not really?
I don't have any like now in mind, but like the application to create other games, you mean, and applications. Yeah, I can share it with you afterwards.
Okay.
Because I would have some ideas, but these are like applications for professional use. If you want to do a, I don't know, presentation of a company, product, whatever. But I guess that's not.
That's not the point. I think I think it's for fun and for entertainment.
Yeah. But I would say, for instance, this one of painting in 3D. It's called Tilde Brush. It's a Google application. It's actually one of the best because it's simple. You can create any world. I mean, there are artists who do pretty extraordinary things there, but there are also simple things that you can do there. So that's I would say that's a good start to create the virtual world very easily, even without any skills.
And yet another question from Dorota. How many years will it take for VR to be a part of regular lessons at school? What do you think?
Oh, that's a good question. I hope we'll get back to schools soon.
Yeah,
that's the first thing. That's the first thing, but I guess not in June. By June. I don't know. I think it's of course it depends on many factors, primarily on the content, because there is not so much content. Like if you want, I mean, if the school wants to buy 30 headsets and do kind of a VR classroom and use it for all the topics, all the lessons, all the subjects, you wouldn't find content for all of it. So of course it's a little bit like a chicken and egg situation, because the content is not produced because not so many schools have the headsets, the VR headsets. So I think it would be like, I don't know, maybe 3 years to be more widely used. What we are doing, because still the schools don't have the hardware simply and don't have experience in it, so we actually do it more like going to schools with our hardware for specific classes, for specific lessons, or we invite schools to come to us actually for the presentation. So I mean, it's something that we're trying to do in specific topics where we actually have the content from ourselves, or we buy it from abroad or from someone else. But you really have to have, that's a key thing, a good high quality. I mean, it doesn't need to be quality in terms of how sharp it is, but the quality in terms of the script, in terms of the scenario idea, and you need to have a good content which actually fits to the educational needs, so that it's not just the attraction, it's not just the roller coaster that of course kids would be happy to see, but rather something connected with specific subject.
So I can imagine that geography, biology lesson, history lessons might be the first to start VR with. Am I right?
Yes, that sounds the most obvious. I would say geography, because you can travel.
Yeah.
And now especially now, when we're all locked down, we would love to travel, really. But if we cannot, maybe at least virtually. But an interesting thing is that we actually did a workshop with science teachers from primary schools. So mathematics, geography, biology, and so on. and we showed them VR, and we asked, how you would see the use of VR and so on. We presented them a movie in which they actually became a person with autism. So we showed, how this person is seeing the world, and they said that, well, of course, for geography, biology, it will be obvious, learn about water, whatever. But what we need as teachers is a tool for building better relations, for building empathy, for understanding of other people, working on emotions. Difficult situations like stress, aggression, and so on. So we actually focused more on these soft skills rather than science, at least for
me. And still one more question from Dorota. What does the school have to do for you to come and visit them?
You can go to the. I'll send you the link now in the chat to the website of the foundation. And contact us. There are also different options, different forms to be filled, and contact us, and then we can come. It depends. Sometimes we have grant programs under which we can simply do it for free. Sometimes we need to cover some logistical costs. And then the school or the parents or whatever, they're some like symbolically paying for it. Let me check the websites.
Great.
That's the one. Hope you can see it.
Yeah, we can. Okay, Janek, and maybe the last question. So how can VR make our life easier and more comfortable, maybe in future?
Yeah, that's a good question, because it's like ultimately it's about helping us. I mean, it's because we might be freaks about technology, but it's not really about technology. It's really about, or should be about, how these solutions help us in, I don't know, many ways. So I think we touched some of these use cases and how it make things easier. Some solutions are already happening. Some are in development, like virtual meetings as well. Yeah, because it's particularly important now, or might be important now, because we cannot really meet face to face physically. We have webinars, we have streamings, and so on, but we are that's natural. We are looking for something more. So if we can actually put the headset on and see Monica sitting in front of me, speaking to me, might be more appealing, and also feeling more comfortable, actually.
Definitely.
Kind of meeting.
That you are close, yes, to me almost like face-to-face meeting.
Exactly. So that's one thing. The other is like in architecture. It's used, but not maybe so widely. So you might design your room, your apartment, just by sitting in a headset and looking around, changing colors, furniture, just to see what view you have from your window, and so on. Of course, the risk might be, but as always, that that somebody who sells you the apartment might be faking a bit, but whatever. It makes you understand better what you're buying, what choices you actually make. Yeah. So and as I said, in education, as a supporting tool, definitely not as a substitute to the learning process and training process, but as a supporting tool. I mean, we also have partners who do professional training. For instance, firefighters from Australia who do professional training. Of course, it will not substitute the training in the forest, in the Australian forest, and or on the job training, as unfortunately they had to do. But it's really helps them, and it's safer. And it's easier, more controllable for the participants, for the organizers, to make it this way, at least as a first step before they go to the forest.
Okay. Yannick, I think the time is up. Yeah, so Yannick, thank you very much for sharing with us all these details about virtual reality. I'm super happy to have you with us today. And you guys, thank you for your engagement, for asking questions, and yes, and see you next time. So Yannick, one more time, thank you very much.
Thanks very much for this opportunity, and I encourage you all as well to think about where you would like to be in virtual reality if you have such an option. It also opens your brain and imagination. I don't know, in the middle of the football pitch or on the moon, whatever, or different situations which are actually impossible. Mostly in most cases impossible. But you can do it in virtual reality.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Yannick, very much. And thank you, guys. Bye.
Thanks. Ciao, ciao. Bye.
Bye. Ciao, ciao.
Thanks.